combination start kicking ass, just like it said at the beginning of the program.
Man of the hour, tower of tower, too sweet to be sour.
Sending your ass on the jabroni jet to the other side of the territory, brother.
The Alabama Hammer.
Nightmares on the best part of my day.
The goods from the woods.
Hot damn!
Welcome to the Goods from the Woods. My name is Rivers Langley.
I'm Pat Riley.
And joining us on mic 3 and 4, holding 2 mics today.
Several mics.
Our friend.
Jeff May, everybody.
Jeff
May. Ladies and gentlemen, we got Jeff May in the house.
And I realize that most of the nation is under about 10 feet of snow at the moment, but in Los Angeles, boy, it feels like baseball season.
It was 84 degrees on the way in here, like opening day in Kansas City.
We just escaped the torrents of rain.
That's right. It rained for 3 days.
And I found, well, it rained for like 5.
Okay, sure.
Now,
Yeah.
here's the thing, though, is because, like, we will laugh because conceptually that is funny that 5 days is a lot.
Yes.
But also the amount of property damage because shit's not prepared
Yeah.
for 5 days of rain is kept, like the mudslides.
Just
and
mansions
shit.
sliding off hills.
And it's funny, too, because it's like when you see, like, Atlanta shut down because there's ice on the roads and
Right.
you're like, oh, come on, it's a little bit of ice. It's like, they don't know ice.
Yeah.
That's not it's like if a small earthquake hit New York
Right.
City,
Yeah.
they'd lose their fucking minds. And out here we're like, it's just a little earthquake.
It's a little shaker.
Yeah, they're not ready for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, my buddy, the 10-foot retaining wall in front of his house.
I thought you were about to call your buddy something.
Yeah.
Oh, no, the 10-foot retaining walls coming in.
Yeah. He,
Number 27 in the Royal Rumble.
yeah. Yeah.
That's the guy who throws out Kenny Omega.
The retaining wall fell down
Oh, man.
and like destroyed like 3 cars. And it was on the news. Like he woke up and there was like 6 news trucks.
Oh, God.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's 3 cars getting destroyed.
And that's like up top news.
Yeah, I remember when in Massachusetts in like 2011 to 2012, we got hit by a tornado.
Yeah.
And like a tornado, if you're in Oklahoma, Kansas, in
Alabama,
the alley, you
yeah.
know, it's not a big deal. But we don't have that. So we have like thick woods.
Sure.
And if tornadoes hit thick woods, shit gets fucked up real fast.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
those trees could get picked up and thrown around.
And there were, I mean, you said like full paths carved out,
Right,
by
right.
this not very impressive tornado.
Yeah.
But because it's in Massachusetts, it destroyed lives for several years.
Yeah, I will say with Atlanta, I noticed ever since there was the big polar vortex and
2013,
and Atlanta was like frozen.
The 2014 freeze, right?
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, it was 2014 because it was the year that Auburn went to the dance and fucking lost to Jameis Winston, that piece of shit. Yeah, so I'll remember it forever. It was 2014, but ever since then, I noticed Atlanta now has gigantic like those steel buildings that have salt in them all along the roads.
Salt silo, basically.
Yeah, they've got those. They never had those before, but now they got them.
I mean, you gotta. It's like you never know you need it until you need it.
Right, until you're the laughing stock of the Northeast.
But it's funny, too, because I never... Like, the amount of rain that we got, it was, like, kind of, like, a little refreshing. But at the same time, I'm like, I understand why this is a problem.
Yeah.
Why you go through massive droughts followed by massive amounts of rain.
Right.
It's not like, oh, well, it should be fine now.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that's not how it works.
Right, yeah. All the hills have been burning all winter, and then all of a sudden it rains and just everything slips off that mountain.
It's, drowning after you're thirsty isn't a good thing.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
I wanted to kick today off because I said this in the kind of the outro of the previous episode, and we've got a couple of new reviews, so thank you so much for everybody who reviewed the show. But I'm going to say it up top so we can get even more in case there's those weird people that turn the show off before the plugs. It's like, what are we doing here if not the plugs? So
For the podcast should be called Only Plugs.
Only plugs. Stamps.com, everybody.
Yeah.
Do
But
they pay for spots here?
No.
Edit that out, Rivers.
yeah, I will. But no, our show for the next month is being sponsored by a great book, Mastering the Art of Winch Cooking by the Mystic Order of East Alabama fiction writers. That happens to be my mom and the other 4 Democrats in Lee County, Alabama. So they have written a book. It's a cooking book where each recipe has either a short story story or a poem attached to it.
Is it winch cooking?
Winch cooking? Yeah.
Now, what is winch cooking exactly?
Like a winch, like a witch, like a
wench,
like a mystic lady.
I thought winch like a pulley.
Oh, like to
system.
pull your like like
boat out.
Not wench like a wench.
Yeah, a wench. Yeah.
Okay.
So they actually have a previous cookbook called The Ploy of Cooking, which is a takeoff on The Joy of Cooking, and then this one is Mastering the Art of Winch Cooking, which is a takeoff of Mastering the Art of French Cooking.
I am fingers crossed that there's going to be some like graduation to like other types of like self-helpy style books.
Oh, sure.
By these wonderful Alabama women.
Yeah. Well, there's potentially a podcast in the works, actually, produced by yours truly. We're
This is-
cooking it up.
I'm into this.
It's gonna be great. But the point is,
Instant subscribe.
yes, hell yeah. But coming soon. But yeah, they are actually sponsoring this episode, and to thank them for sponsoring the episode, what we're gonna do, we're running a little contest here. So I have in my hands a signed copy of Mastering the Art of Winch Cooking, and I will mail it to you. All you got to do is write the funniest iTunes review. So go to iTunes, give us 5 stars, write a review, make it funny. Take a screenshot, send it to me, and whoever had the funniest one, not only are you getting the book, I'm also going to send you some pins, some magnets, some stickers from us here at Goods from the Woods. I'm also going to log in to prowrestlingtees.com/thegoodspod, and I'm going to send you a t-shirt in your size of your choosing.
You get the T-shirt. you get the signed cookbook. You get autographed. You get the Jam Mint 10 sticker. Goods from the Woods button. And the 1984 Michael Jordan rookie card. You will start your own dream store. You will start your own dream store. The Griffey rated rookie, everybody.
So go to Amazon.com, check out Mastering the Art of Winch Cooking by the Mystic Order of East Alabama Fiction Writers. They are underwriting today's program.
Rated rookie.
And,
God, Donruss was the worst.
So yeah, on to our business today. So this is
Guess. Can you guess?
I'm batting outside of my league here, not to put too fine a pun on it, gentlemen.
You are good. It's your lack of knowledge is going to be completely overcompensated by Jeff.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what I'm counting on. That's why we got
This
Mr. May
might
here.
be the most weird esoteric theme that we have done for a particular episode ever.
Shout
on
out to
this
Brian
show.
in Montana. He's gonna love this shit.
Oh yeah. So
This is so
before-
specific.
It's
and,
so specific. It's so weird. But
and
for
so up my alley.
Yeah,
as you know.
yeah, because you're wearing the T-shirt.
He's wearing the damn
I
T-shirt,
have
folks.
this as a T-shirt,
Okay.
and you didn't know I had this.
Yeah, I thought that you were eyeballing it, but you actually have.
Yeah. You walked in my apartment and I popped huge. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe what you were wearing.
I'm going to reveal my sources for this afterwards because
Okay.
I don't want to tip my hand too much.
It's Julian Assange.
Yeah. Yeah. But we are going to be talking about baseball cards.
Yes.
But we are going to be talking about one particular baseball card that is perhaps the most legendary baseball card of all time. Not for being rare, not for being valuable,
Yeah.
but for kind of creating, for those that have seen it or know about it, the greatest joy.
It's legendary.
It's legendary. It's infamous.
Yes. Notorious.
So you weren't a baseball card person growing up.
No. Shout out my buddy Orion. My friend Orion, who I grew up with, was a huge baseball card guy, and I have early memories of going over to Orion's house and him showing me his David Justice cards and
Nice.
things like that. That was kind of my era. It was like 92, 93 when he was still like hooking up with Halle Berry. The good times.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, my knowledge of baseball cards basically extends to us putting Don West in the Goods from the Woods
Okay.
Hall of Fame last year.
But and that's very David Justice. It's very time and geographically specific. Wow.
Speaking of Don West, who Jeff May is showing us he's got a signed Don West Total Nonstop Action Wrestling card somehow.
Yeah, I do. I have the best fans in the world. And they send me shit that is so specific
and so weird.
that card, as well as this shirt, were all supplied to me by people that are just like, I'm into this.
This is why we do this, is to get weird shit in the mail.
Yeah.
I'm starving.
Yeah.
But I am 100% kept fed in random pop culture garbage.
Our friend Hobo Eddie sent us Lulu, the Metallica Velvet Lou Reed album. Yeah. I almost said Velvet Underground, but yes, the Metallica Lou Reed collab. So
Yeah,
it's
amazing.
no, Mo Tucker was busy participating in the Tea Party to get involved in that project. They thought that she was dead, and everybody was trying to find her. It comes to find out that she's working in a Walmart in rural Georgia and
Okay.
was really into the Tea Party.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had a lady that lived downstairs from me in my apartment. Once when I split from my wife, I got a pretty rad apartment. The lady that lived downstairs was a Tea Party member, but she also used to be super tight with Boston. The band. Like she went to Woodstock right after giving birth and shit like that, and she was like super
Whoa.
tight with. But then she became this weird Tea Party, like this rotten old mean Tea Party lady. I'm like, you're fucking rock and roll.
Yeah.
This is how you are now.
Man. Well, anyway, what
But
are we talking about?
Jeff actually is a rare. Jeff's a rare breed because I actually have a theory, and I probably mentioned this before on the show, that when you're a little boy, most little boys, you make a pivotal decision when you walk into the comic book baseball card store, and depending on what side of the store you wander onto, it kind of has this kind of path-dependent relationship for your personality, your tastes, things like that. Jeff, on the other hand, he populated both sides of
I
the
stayed
store.
on the wire the whole time. I didn't fall to either side. Yeah,
So you liked both sides.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. I enjoyed it a lot. I remember getting baseball cards for the first time.
Yeah.
I remember it because I was sick, and my dad bought me a box of 88 tops.
Oh, yeah.
Oh wow. And then you ate the gum inside and got even sicker.
Sure, sure did.
That gum was so nasty.
I weirdly, every time I've ever gotten a pack of cards with gum, it's maybe it's something about like I just wanted it to taste good
the
so good that it tasted good. You know,
I
what I mean?
like the nostalgic taste of it. That brittle,
Like it's-
broken gum.
like it's not
like the
good.
smell of it.
the,
was
just
so
that
good.
pink single stick
Yeah.
of gum.
It's not good, but it brings good memories.
How
or something.
rad of Tops to keep that up for so long when all these other companies were like, no one wants the gum.
Yeah.
And Tops was like, we're doing the gum.
And Topps was not a gum company. There were literally gum companies making cards.
was it Bazooka that provided that?
I believe so, yeah.
I think it was like
it was Bazooka that provided
I
it.
think they had outsourced to the Bazooka company. to
Oh,
make,
okay. So Bazooka Joe was pulling double time.
Yeah.
Wow.
So how hard did you get into card collecting? Because
I got
we're
into-
roughly around the same age.
I was really heavy for, I would say, about 6 years.
Yeah,
5 to 6
about
years.
same with me.
And then it died. I'd say 94 to 95 is really when the market dumped out. But also I had become like 13, 14 years old around
Sure.
that time.
Yeah.
And I was much more of a comic book kid by then.
Oh, okay.
So like I know I straddled for a lot, but when they dumped out, I kind of stayed with more
Yeah, I think
comics
13 to 14 was about the time in which I just quit on the
Yeah.
baseball card
So
thing.
once you hit teenage levels and you're still in baseball cards, it becomes a
Yeah.
personality.
Well, I think you could actually. I mean, most people have a list of things that you could. You know, most people could list off all the shit that they kind of had fall away at that exact age. And for me, it was wrestling. Actually, pro
Yeah.
wrestling. That was when I took my 4-year hiatus from wrestling during
I did the same thing.
ruthless aggression era because I was in high school and I was like, nobody.
Ruthless aggression.
Nobody likes this anymore, so I kind
Yeah.
of like let it fall out. So, and I guess that's about when I stopped. Because the one card thing I did do, and we talked about this on we had Atlas Novak on the show, and we talked about cards. Was that that I did the Star Wars cards, and then Star Wars lost Decipher, the company that did the Star Wars cards, lost their license right before Phantom Menace came out, and then
It was right.
that
It was
it.
actually after Phantom Menace, right before Attack of the Clones.
Oh, did they-
And then Wizards of the Coast took over.
That's
and
right. That's right. Okay.
Do you know my history with that game?
No.
I was nationally ranked. I was in the top 50.
I'm sorry. What?
I
No.
still have my cards. I still play.
You got the black border Darth Vader dog?
Dude, You don't even want to know
Okay,
the level
okay.
to which I actually
man.
recently got a pack of Endor that had an ATST dual cannon, which is currently a $15 to $20 card.
I do not know what any of that means.
I do.
Both
but
as a person
still-
that has never bought
Yeah.
a pack of those cards, nor seen any of the Star Wars movies.
yes, that's right.
No idea. No idea.
Pat wrote a novel for today. I'm sorry. We'll have our side.
Yeah, we still haven't gotten.
Yeah,
gonna say,
but I'm just doing that because baseball cards during the late 80s, early 90s were absolutely huge. And I collected baseball cards like mad when I was a kid. And I don't know if it was the case with you, Jeff. That was a way, and this was the case with a lot of kids during that era. That was a way in which you bonded with your dad, was
Yes.
baseball cards. Because
Yeah.
dad saw it as an opportunity both to put you through college with
And
all
to-
the baseball cards and then to bond with
and
you.
to show you about the sport that he grew up with.
Yeah.
You know, like it's not, they weren't really, I mean, wrestling was a thing back then, but it wasn't really the way, it's not as it wasn't as much of a cultural touchstone.
Sure,
But
sure.
baseball is literally America's pastime.
Sure.
Yeah.
It was interesting too because there were a lot of news articles around that time, especially in the early '90s, of collectibles, and this
Yeah.
is actually what will eventually lead to the collapse in the market. Is that you had people were finding these old like Nolan Ryan and Mickey Mantle rookie cards, all these old Hank Aaron's and shit
Yeah.
like that. Even Honus Wagner's were worth $100,000 in the early '90s.
Sure.
And they were saying baseball cards are more of a better investment than stocks.
Yeah.
And so people started buying up shit.
Yeah.
And people were like, this is collectible. This is collectible.
Right.
And here's a little hint. If something is told to you that it's collectible, it is
It's
not
not.
worth anything anymore.
Especially when
yeah.
it's matched with complete overproduction or saturation.
Yeah,
in
very
the market.
very similar to what we talked about. We had a Toy Crazes episode. And we talked about Beanie Babies. Very similar to that,
Yeah.
where the market itself was totally oversaturated.
But
they still claim that this is like you could put your kids through college with these things.
So with baseball cards now, and the way it has been, and it died almost until the early 2000s when they started the smart thing that the company started doing was buying up jerseys, slicing them up, putting them in cards, and throwing them into packs
one
every
to
once in a while.
one card.
So you'd pull one
For
card out of
scarcity,
a case or out of a pack
Yeah.
that would be like, oh, this is Derek Jeter's jersey, game worn jersey.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they buy a game worn jersey for like $300, get 100 cards out of it,
Right.
and then it actually saves it because it's a unique collectible that is a one out of one thing.
But there were literally people that would buy lots of 1,000, like Todd Van Poppel, Todd Zeal,
All the Todds.
like just
So
all
many
the Todds, Jerome Walton,
Tons of
Kevin
Todds.
Moss,
Jerome Todd,
They would
Kevin
get all
Todd.
these
Kevin
rookie
Moss
cards.
was a
yeah,
was a
and
big
they would just buy
big.
Brian Taylor. They would get tons of them, and they
Oh,
would just
Brian.
sit on them.
Toddzilla.
And Toddzilla.
Do you know about Brian Taylor? What happened with him?
I'd heard the story about what it was.
Brian
yeah.
Taylor was the biggest thing to ever happen to baseball. 1992, Topps card number 1.
What team did he play for?
He was drafted by the Yankees.
He was drafted by the Yankees.
Okay.
Got a $10 million signing bonus.
Oh,
got
boy.
into a bar fight protecting his brother.
Oh,
broke
God.
his hand. Never pitched in the major
Oh
league.
no!
But people would just invest all this money, like literally hundreds, thousands of dollars on just speculating on particular players.
On little pieces of cardboard.
Yeah, and sometimes it would work out. Somebody would buy 50 Derek Jeter rookie cards, or somebody would buy 50 A-Rod cards, but there's some poor sucker that has a lot of, a brick of Todd Zeal rookie cards, and they're like, that was supposed to buy me
Yeah.
a Corvette. And
Dude.
that's not the case.
Lord Vanderkloof proclaims that these tulips to be the rarest tulips.
I mean, it's very much an Emperor's New Clothes situation,
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Like the rarity, it wasn't like any one card was more rare than another either. It was
Yeah.
just, that's. I think there would be an ethics violation as far in regular sets, but then there would be chase cards and insert cards.
Sure.
I had an
Chase was a hell of a player.
Chase Utley was a great player. I got an insert card that was pretty insanely rare. Only 2,000 of them out of a pack of 1992 score. I bought one of those fat packs, $1.49. Opened it up, insert card. I noticed it and I was like, cool. I pulled something. It was it had a green border and I picked it up. And it was a Mickey Mantle autographed.
Whoa!
It was a 1992 score, the franchise Mickey Mantle personally autographed card number 1457 of 2000.
God
Yeah.
damn!
But there were
What a shitty day for the Mick, though, to have to sit there and sign 2,000 of those little fuckers.
Well,
I don't think he didn't get paid for that.
I'm sure.
and I don't think he was cognizant during most of it.
Oh, he
because
was. His brain worked perfectly fine as his liver fell apart.
Yeah,
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But you had a hell of a time.
Yeah, but So and this is something that if you're not familiar with baseball cards, but do watch Marie Kondo, the episode with the Akiyama family basically encapsulates the baseball card collections that a lot of dads
I look
have.
forward to seeing this episode.
And but there are just Jeff and I, if we go back to our collections, we own literally thousands, if not tens of thousands, of cards. They're just like random dudes that look like they could be in the band Toto. Like,
well, that or because of the '80s obsession that we were in, they either looked like your Uncle Billy,
Yeah.
or a bodybuilder.
yeah,
Like I remember Did you have a guy? Did you have your guy that you had to get all of his cards of? Because I did, and boy, was it a mistake.
Mark McGuire.
Jose Canseco.
Oh man.
So you started with the '85 tops.
Yeah, I have that.
Look at this. It's the Royd boys.
And I was
the Bash Brothers,
and I was the
and by bash I mean bashing a syringe into your ass. Of Russian-made Diana ball.
But that's interesting too, because like McGuire had an Olympic card for '85 tops because the Olympics had that push, and then the '87 tops was his actual rookie card,
And then there was the Donruss Jose Canseco where he looked like a stick.
Yeah, and he had the little mustache.
Yeah.
The '86 Donruss rated rookie Jose Canseco was at one point in time worth over $100.
Yeah.
and I had the '86 tops traded, which wasn't as valuable.
Not as valuable.
Will Clark was in that set as well.
But there was
and Barry Bonds.
the most well-known card of that era, like the signature card. There's two signature cards of that era in the world of baseball. Number one, 1989. And they came out in the same year. 1989, Ken Griffey Jr.
Upper Deck
rookie card. Number one.
First
leads
one in
out
the
that,
set,
and that was like a revolutionary baseball card.
It was the first year
product.
that Upper Deck had been put out. They were
Yeah.
higher quality, glossy stock, both sides.
Right.
And then Ken Griffey was,
and it's harder to clean because it's like in the top of the tank and not the bottom.
Yeah.
you monster.
Yeah. It was,
How dare you
I'm sorry. I
tear
don't-
apart this very serious
But
thing we're talking about.
Wait,
But the Upper Deck was
this is
started
gonna be the
by-
whole episode.
The Upper Deck was started by a couple of tech millionaires and a player for the California Angels named Dwayne Buis. And Dwayne Buis
He
was
does
supposed
sound
to
like the
be
guy who would take a shit
the
in the top
number
of your
one
tank.
card in there, and he's like, "No, I can't. And they tried to figure out who to be the rookie. They let it off, and it was the kid. It was
Ken Griffey Jr. I mean, he was already poised to be the number one thing in the world. So why wouldn't
Yeah.
he? They
And
used to love doing that.
He had a video game.
He did.
He had several.
Yeah, he did have several
Yeah.
actually. Yeah.
And it was an I think if you've seen that card, if you were a young boy, some girls that grew up during that time, you could see that photograph and point out exactly what that was.
Yeah.
Without the board or any context.
You knew what it was. It was always the first card you'd look at when you'd buy a Beckett.
Yeah.
See what the Griffey is doing this month.
Now, the second card that was the indelible 1989 card.
If the '89 Griffey is the famous card
Okay.
of the year,
Sure.
This is the infamous card. And this is the card from the 1989 Fleer Baseball, number 616.
Okay.
Now, we're going to start out. Now, Fleer started making cards. They made cards in the past, Fleer Gum Company,
Yeah.
but they had actually
They
gotten their
started in
license back.
82.
81. They'd gotten their license back from the Players Association based on a legal sort of ruling that they could get the license to make cards again. And two companies, Donruss and Fleer, joined Topps as kind of a troika. Now, there are...
Bowman wouldn't be back until '89.
And so we're going to start out, and it's a story of two brothers, right? Both the sons of Cal Ripken Sr., a former player and manager of the Baltimore Orioles, probably smoked the most cigarettes in the dugout of any individual of all time.
Okay.
And he had two sons.
Even more than who's the who,
Jim Leland.
No, who was the owner of the White Sox? The guy who had the fake leg
Bill Veeck?
Bill Veeck, who orchestrated Disco Demolition Night.
Oh, no,
Had a
I
fake
mean-
leg that had an ashtray carved into his wooden leg
I
so he
love
could
that.
ash in it.
That's the most brilliant thing I've
Oh,
ever
yeah,
heard.
but Cal Ripken would just blast unfiltered Lucky Strikes in the dugout.
Fuck
Fucking
yeah.
love that. So it's funny too because of how the two Ripkins
Yeah.
have become sort of cemented in, because anytime you make Major League Baseball, you
Yeah.
are one of the greatest athletes in the world.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that's just how it works. You can't get to that level.
Yeah, and 2 of your loins managed
Yeah,
to do
yeah.
it. Yeah,
Now-
2 of your seeds worked their way through.
One of the sons, who was 1989 Fleer number 617, was Cal Ripken Jr.
Sure.
What arguably one of the most durable and talented players in Major League
Played
Baseball.
forever.
Yeah,
Played
21
forever.
seasons.
Shattered.
Yeah.
Lou Gehrig's Iron Horse record.
Right.
So he played for 21 seasons, made 19 All-Star games.
21 seasons in baseball, by the way, because we do have some British listeners. That is approximately 85,000 games.
That's a lot.
And a lot of players take time off.
Yeah,
And
but-
Cal Ripken did not.
He played
Yeah.
he played 2,632 games
That's
consecutively.
fucking crazy.
Started them.
That's so many.
He won 2 MVP awards. He made the Hall of Fame in 2007, and at the time, it was the 3rd highest vote getter of all time.
2 MVP awards.
Yeah.
Over the course of it. Like that's not just that you're good at baseball. It means you're the greatest baseball player of an entire year.
Right.
Yeah, and
this
separated by a decade.
And this motherfucker did it twice, broken up by 10 years.
Because some people would win them consecutively. He won them breaking up between 2 decades. Also, just to give you an idea of how great of a player he was, he's 37th all time and wins above replacement. So he is arguably the 37th best player of all time if you look at it statistically, which is something else.
Yeah.
On the
And his position
as
was
a shortstop.
very difficult
Yeah.
position to
yeah, shortstop, right?
Yeah, he was a shortstop.
Yeah.
And like kind of a sizable shortstop, which is rare too. Shortstops tend to be smaller, leaner, and Cal was not tiny.
Yeah. Now on the flip side, his younger brother,
The Remus of the two.
the younger brother Billy.
Oh yeah.
Now
It's always a Billy.
yeah. Now Bill Ripken debuted in after a relatively about 4-year stint in the minors. He had a promising first partial season. He hit over 300, but his first whole season he played with the Baltimore Orioles, he hit 207. Right.
Yeah.
Hits 207. So right now, the 1989 Fleer set is coming out the year after he hits barely over the Mendoza line. Right. He barely ekes out hitting 20%. You know.
And Mendoza, by the way, is let's. I mean, I know obviously what that is, but let's tell people what that is.
The Mendoza line?
Yeah.
Go for it.
You used it.
No, the Mendoza line is 200 in baseball, and there was a player.
It's usefulness.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so there was that you're 200, like 20% of the times in which you have an at bat, you get a hit and you advance safely. It's named after a player, I believe his name is Heyzeus Mendoza, who's a shortstop. Who that was like the joke because he constantly hit around 200, and I think his career average was 200. So
I see. I never knew that, which is why you're like, tell him, Jeff. I'm like, I didn't do the research for this.
I might be wrong, but it's named after a player that was kind of the joke was that he hit, 200, hit 200. His batting average was 200. So if you were underneath that for a season, you were underneath the Mendoza line.
For hitters, they generally consider 250 to be.
Average.
If you're above 250, you're good. If you're below 250, you need work.
If you're 300,
300 is great. 300 is all-star level.
Yeah.
So
Ted Williams hitting 406.
Hot damn.
406, right?
406, yeah.
Wow, he was so excited he lost his head.
But there was
What?
after hitting 207, you're destined for the distinction of being, and the sad distinction of being a common card.
Common player.
No.
Common
5
card.
to 10 cents max.
Yeah, if you're a common card, and it's so sad because, like, as Jeff said,
Billy's heading for the 10-cent pile.
If your name isn't listed in the Beckett,
and Beckett is the price guide,
Yes.
you're a common card.
you're a common card.
Okay.
Yeah, and the thing is that, as Jeff said, if you make it to the MLB, the odds of making it into Major League Baseball are infinitesimal. Like, they're very small. That if you play and even make it to the minor leagues, making it up to playing in Major League Baseball for more than a game, the odds are so long, right?
Which is why every fat player is more impressive than a fit player to me.
Yeah.
Anytime you see a Cecil Fielder, you're like, God damn.
Or a Bartolo Colon.
Or Fernando Valenzuela. Anytime you get like a chubby guy, David Wells, who's pitching at 42 years old, weighing 245 pounds.
Cologne's like, he still plays.
Yeah,
and he's like 46.
Oh, he had a great season, right?
Yeah, and he must weigh easily 325.
Yeah, Yokozuna had that season with the Mariners.
Yeah.
I remember that, yeah. Huge strike zone, though.
But the problem is that if you've made this huge accomplishment, and then the ultimate slap in the face is that your baseball card, and being on a baseball card, that's like a dream come true.
Sure.
But your baseball card is common, and people just get it, and they're just like, you know, whatever.
I didn't want this. This goes in the spokes.
Yeah. It's a common card. It's valueless.
I'm going to turn this into a fun card and send it into Beckett. They used to have these things in Beckett called fun cards where you'd change the name or like, you know, Al Newman,
bubble.
you'd put Alfred E. Newman's head on him and send it in, and they'd print them out.
There's a thing called
fun.
There's a thing called baseball
you
card
just-
vandals.
Yeah,
and it's amazing.
It's like kind of
you just like vandalized your own cards and just sent them in.
I remember one time me and my brother sent one in of Otis Nixon running, and he was snorting the baseline. Because he had been arrested for cocaine, and we did whiteout of the baseline going up to his nose, and we sent it into Beckett at 11 years old, thinking they were like, "This is funny, let's put this in." But also like a pretty advanced joke for.
I mean, that should have been your packet for SNL to be a contributor to Weekend Update.
Just Otis Nixon, I'll always remember the car because he's running and just the baseline going right up to it.
Oh man, those Braves teams, the 1-2 punch leadoff of Otis Nixon and Jeff Blauser, two of the weirdest looking guys of all time.
I love baseball players that look like crackheads. They are like Julio Lugo. If you've ever seen Julio Lugo, looks like a nervous crackhead who is wearing a wire.
Yeah,
everywhere he goes.
So the let's go to the set.
Yes,
Fleer 1989. Now Fleer had been kind of competing with Topps, had been competing with Donruss during the 19.
Julio Lugo, by the way, looks like Bubbles from The Wire.
I mean, if like Julio Lugo's Red Sox, because I have a World Series 07 baseball signed by Julio Lugo, because I was 100% obsessed.
Hell yeah.
With how like jittery and wide-eyed he was.
Yeah.
So Fleer was competing throughout the 80s with Donruss and Topps. 1988, they were joined. The run was joined by a company called Score. 1989 was joined by Upper Deck, which was the Cadillac, right? And Fleer was releasing their set. Now, there were a lot of high-profile cards in there. They had rookie cards for Gary Sheffield, Greg Biggio, John Smoltz, Randy Johnson.
Greg Jeffries,
that's another one of those ones that was going to put you through college, but now you just have 100
the Greg
Jeffries.
Jeffries Future Star, 89 Topps, baby.
Now, the funny thing about the Randy Johnson one was that Randy Johnson's card was an error card, right? Originally, there was a giant Marlboro advertisement in the back because he was in the stadium. They took the photo, and there's a big Marlboro ad.
Sure.
And people were like, oh, we can't have a cigarette ad on a baseball card, even though baseball cards started as
That's why the Honus Wagner is so valuable,
yeah.
because he made him take it out.
Yeah.
But there were 84 error cards in the Fleer set, and they're
Fleer
slipping.
had a bunch of errors.
Yeah.
Their 89 and 88 sets had a ton of errors in them.
Now, error cards are...
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, what are some other...
So it's
notable
okay.
ones?
So here's a few error cards. In 1989, that year, Score had a card for a journeyman pitcher named Paul Gibson, which was notable because in the background you could see one of the infield players grabbing his crotch because he was scratching himself, and it's known amongst people as the claw card. And they had to airbrush it and edit it so that the guy wasn't grabbing his junk.
He just has no arms now.
Yeah, exactly.
Just blood pouring.
Yeah, it's like, well, this is better. He's like the Black Knight in Monty Python.
There was, but the most well-known one of that era was Frank Thomas. Auburn
alum. Yeah, War Goddamn Eagle.
His 1990 Topps card was printed accidentally without his name on it.
It was called the NNOF, the Frank Thomas NNOF.
No name
on front.
Oh boy!
And it was his first draft pick card. It's him on a knee fielding a ball.
Oh
And,
wow!
No name.
No name on the front.
NNOF. That's why they
And,
called him the Noff Man.
And just to give you, most baseball cards of that era, their value is quite low.
Yeah, they're worth
that card
a quarter a piece now.
in Mint 9 rated is $5,000.
Hot damn!
And one existing Gem Mint 10 version was bought at auction for $24,244 in an internet auction in 2012. The company that tracks this insinuates that the card was either owned or once owned by former Major League Baseball journeyman Dimitri Young.
Hell yeah, baby.
Okay.
Why not?
Why not? When you make all that money, you enjoy the finer things in life.
I make the league minimum.
Now,
It's weird that you get paid for a job and then you just acquire more things from that job. You know,
That's the perks though. Like you ever see? I remember seeing. I think it was like something. It was David Ortiz's house, and he just
it's just a geodesic dome that looks like a baseball.
he had framed jerseys from like other players that he had a CC Sabathia jersey, like people
which
that
had
you
to be
would
like
think-
an XXX,
It was like-
XXXXXXXXL.
like a Yankees
Yeah.
Sabathia jersey. And
Okay.
and
the
it's
CC
weird
stands for cottage
'cause
cheese.
You're reminded though,
Yeah.
that it's like, oh, they don't care.
Yeah.
They're not the fans.
Yeah.
These guys are guys that work together.
Right.
Yeah, and they
right.
just trade their jerseys with each
Yeah.
other. You
Okay.
know? And and there was only one of that. But most error cards just kind of, they had an error, they fixed it, no big deal. Now, as I mentioned before in the 1989 set, Cal Ripken, Hall of Famer, card number 617. Normal, standard fare, him in the field, in action.
We're probably talking a 50 to 75 cent card, all things considered. In the set.
Absolutely. Probably about 50 to 75 cents.
They
is
actually have to
probably-
pay you if you take that card.
Yeah.
Yep.
But no, like back in 1989, if you're
Sure.
paying $1.25 for a pack of cards,
Yeah.
and you get a Ripken or a Clemens or something like that, like you could
You're
flip
up.
that card.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you could
Yeah.
theoretically, if you wanted to.
Now, card 616, Billy Ripken. Now, Jeff's wearing the shirt of this. Billy Ripken, standard fare, just like standing and
It's the pose.
before a game, an away game. He plays for the Orioles. They're at Fenway Park, and somebody says, "Hey, can we take a photograph?"
Probably during BP.
Yeah, during BP, he's standing on the third baseline.
That's batting practice.
Yeah, and he poses. Now, Billy Ripken looks ridiculous in this card.
Yeah.
His smile
Yes.
is the first thing because he is smiling, but I'm air quotes smiling here because it looks like a smile until you realize that the corners of his mouth aren't in a direction.
right. So yeah.
So his mouth is like smile-ish open.
It's sort of like his mouth is like when Pac-Man eats the cherry and the ghosts change their mouths, like sort of a
Yeah.
squiggle.
Yeah.
It's kind of that.
It's like a
Yeah, like it basically like
if you look at the album art for this episode of The Goods on my Instagram or on our Twitter at The Goods Pod, we had got Jeff to take a photo trying to approximate this this smile. And it's
you
pretty
know how
hard
they
to pull
say
off.
turn that frown upside down. It looks like he literally turned his smile upside down.
It's the face
yeah.
you would make if somebody started singing to you in public.
Yeah,
So the Cold Stone Creamery
Oh,
face.
yeah.
Where you have to go like, thanks.
yeah. It's the TGI Fridays birthday face. You know.
You ever see that happen? You ever see someone just start singing to another person at like
Yeah,
a
Cold
restaurant
Stone.
and you're like, no, not people that are conditioned to get
okay.
a tip and then do that, but like I remember I was at a Papa Gino's back in Boston.
Oh, sure,
like
sure.
you do.
Yeah.
And a guy was like serenading his girlfriend at Papa Gino's. And
This is Boston, you said?
Auburn, Massachusetts.
Hell
is
yeah.
where it was. So we have an Auburn too.
Fuck yeah.
Less famous. We have Rockets. That was our thing. We
Oh,
made
sure,
Rockets.
sure.
And the guy was singing, I think, like, I Swear by All For One.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
And we were all just sitting there being like, this guy's holding the restaurant hostage.
Wow.
Because I can't continue living my life and just eating my
This
pizza.
is amazing.
While this dude's sweating to I swear.
This is awesome.
With the tabletop jukebox that he put a quarter into.
Wow.
So
Anyway, that's the face.
That's amazing.
Billy Ripken looking awkward as hell. He's holding his batting practice bat. They take the photograph. On the bat is what seals the deal for this card, because on the knob of the bat, written in magic marker, is 2 words. Fuck face.
Ladies and gentlemen, the fuck face card of 1989.
The Billy Ripken fuck face card of
The
1989.
error of all errors. The total and complete lack of standards and practices
Yeah.
that Fleer was going by.
Quality control. You think leaving a Marlboro ad in the background of a Randy Johnson card is
Yeah.
bad?
Yeah.
On this card is fuck face.
Yeah, this isn't Robin Yount scratching his ass in the background.
Yeah.
This is this. That's why the Topps no name on front is so valuable. Is because Topps has control.
Yeah.
Of their thing. Fleer was like the old west of baseball cards. They had no rules.
And Billy is
Just
looks,
Doc
and it's
Holliday.
even funnier
Just
because
clearing the photographs.
He looks so like uncomfortable, but he's completely incredulous to the fact that he's holding in his hand a bat that on the knob says "fuck face."
The face he's making is I can't believe I'm getting away with this.
Yeah.
Like I can't believe they're not saying anything.
So it's all right. If we're gonna put this on our Twitter, we're at the Goods Pod, so you can see this card that we're talking about. Here's my question: do you guys think that when they were looking at these cards, that now that it's out there, it's a famous image? You know, I've seen it, and I don't know shit about baseball cards, so it's kind of out there. But do you think that his face in the card is so peculiar that they failed to notice the fuck face bat?
Well,
Because it's very obvious.
Maybe his face is the fuck face.
Like,
I mean, yeah, kind of.
if you hear somebody calling someone that, and you're like, "What does that mean?" That's it.
what's
Yeah.
funny is that this is the best photo they got.
Yeah.
Of Billy Ripken.
They had a
too.
whole.
No, they took one
yeah.
photo.
They had a
were just
whole
boom,
contact
click.
sheet. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a few photos. They didn't take one
So
photo.
here's the story.
Take your
with it.
baseball cards seriously.
Here's the story of it. So Steve Babineau, who was the head photographer for Fleer, when they were kind of showing, because the way in which they showed it, they show a giant set of template baseball cards, right?
Sure.
The contact sheet of them. And he didn't notice because there's so many cards there that he's just like, and he's kind of overworked. He's like, yeah, it looks fine, you know?
Yeah.
That's kind of why Fleer had so many issues, is that the quality control was so lackadaisical.
Well, I will say with photography, a lot of times what you're looking at is not a full size photograph. It's what's called a contact sheet,
Yeah.
where basically you'll print off all the negatives, put them into a thing, run them under the developer, and then you just come out. So it's an 8x10 sheet with basically tiny
Yeah.
versions of all the
And then
pictures.
somebody with a jeweler's magnifying
Right, we'll
glass.
go through and look at each thing and then decide which one they want to do.
So-
So chances are, fuckface would have been almost imperceptible on a contact sheet.
Yeah. So the card went into mass production. It's estimated that roughly 100,000 copies of the fuckface card were published and were produced, and it thus entered into infamy.
Sure.
The value of the card, once somebody noticed that was written on the bat, skyrocketed to roughly about $30 to $50.
Hell yeah.
Which in,
Okay.
in today's money,
$1989.
yeah, today's
Yeah.
money it's about $62 to $103.
Hell yeah.
The page when it was reported in the pages of Beckett, which was the major monthly price guide for baseball cards.
Yeah, they also did Waiting for Godot.
They referred to it as the quote unquote Rick face card.
And then they changed it to F face card.
Yeah, which I don't know why they went with Rick.
Yeah, maybe I would go with like puck face.
I mean,
maybe,
they had a lot of kid readers, so
Yeah.
they eventually changed it to the F face, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
all
But I
right.
would love to know, like, that's an inside joke where, like, just Dr. Beckett thinks, oh, dude, that guy Rick sucks. And it looks like, yeah. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. But, and there were stories about people, you know, trying to procure this card because this is the middle of baseball card fever.
Sure.
This card comes out, even though there's 100,000 of them produced, you know, people see this as, all right, this is a money-making opportunity that we have this rare card that's so over the top.
Yeah.
Darren Ravel, who writes for CNBC.com, in a retrospective, alluded to this. I don't know if this is substantiated, but there was one story that a kid A kid's parents sued another kid's parents when a kid bought this card from another kid for $1.
That's a good deal.
Yeah.
That's a good deal.
And the kid didn't know that the card was worth, that much money. This is unsubstantiated. So Fleer went into crisis mode over the fuckface card.
Why?
Because they don't have a sense of humor. And they went into crisis mode and sought out as many uncut sheets, as many packs, as many copies that hadn't been distributed yet.
Yeah.
And they kind of, in some of them, they saw cut it, basically. So they got some copies and they saw cut them so they wouldn't go into circulation.
Sure.
Right? So people that are collectors actually have numbers of saw cut ones that just have a literal saw cut right through the middle of it.
Who's running the saw that those got out?
Yeah. You know what's funny is
Where's this saw?
as I was reading a thing, I found that there's one story where this kid was a huge Billy Ripken fan and bought a huge collection of these cards from a dealer for like $50. Like, it was a huge, and then when they found the error, that value went to $20,000. Some Baltimore kid
That's incredible.
gets $20,000.
I got my Billy Ripken collection, yo.
Yeah. Some kids just like, my favorite thing about Billy Ripken is the weird smile. I guess
I sold it and got a Pontiac Fiero.
his anti Mona Lisa smile is really what I want.
So Fleer didn't want to completely take the cards out of rotation because you know what? They're thrifty. That's what made him a chewing gum giant. So what they ended up doing,
we get paid. We pay the saw guy by the hour.
so they ended up altering some of and censoring some of the fuckface cards. So there
By
are
hand?
actually 7 versions of the fuckface card
Whoa.
before they actually arrived at the final version of it. So there's the fuckface card.
Yeah.
Then there was somebody had took an airbrush and kind of scribbled out the bat,
Okay.
the offending bat. So it was the
whole bat?
No, just the knob.
Oh, just the knob of the bat. Okay, I was like,
they did the whole bat.
He left fuckface, but took the bat out.
That would look really
just,
weird.
like,
Like,
really
what's he
weird.
holding?
he's holding a little tiny bat.
He's holding a marble that says fuckface.
And then there were versions that were white airbrushed out, which were called the whiteout version. And there are versions
That would look
allegedly
terrible, by the
that
way.
were actually manually whited out with whiteout. There were
Like, you would open a pack of cards and there'd be manually whited out cards?
apparently.
What kind of fucking operation was Fleer running where they're just having dudes run whiteout over their cards?
I mean, this is unsubstantiated, but that's, there are a lot of claims that people actually manually whited them out. And there are 3 versions where people actually just took a pen and scribbled out the photograph. Just scribbled it out. And there are 3 different versions of
Just
different types of
destroy the
scribbles.
cards.
See, I was only really aware of the fuckface, the whiteout, and the blackout cards.
Yeah.
And they were like, basically, they're just like little rectangles of
Yeah. Are
whatever.
those? So here's what I'm wondering: is like, are those worth more?
So yes, the most expensive version is the whiteout version.
The one where it's physically whited
well, no,
out.
the version
Oh,
that's
okay.
is printed as whiteout.
Oh,
so
okay,
it's kind
gotcha.
of the whiteout versions that are manually whited out are not substantiated, because the thing was that when the Billy Ripken fuckface card came out and they had these alterations to it, there was a massive amount of counterfeit versions that came about that people heard about the manually whited out one, and people went to their office, got a Billy Ripken fuckface card, put a little liquid paper on there, and sold it to your local baseball card store.
Wow. Okay.
which is why it's so weird.
Yeah.
that they would do that. And it's funny for Fleer because you figure if they do a mass rerun of that, people, you're like, that's annoying for us as a company perspective.
Sure.
But you're probably selling a ton of more cards because of this.
Yeah.
Because there are people that are collecting and they want that shit.
Right.
Now the whiteout version, ungraded, peaked at $300. Now the current value of one is $120. But there are the 7 versions, and there's also a version that is not real that I actually own one of, and it's a version where somebody actually took a copy of the Billy Ripken fuckface card, run it over a Xerox machine, reversed it, copied it, and then put the phrase test run A616 1988 101, where basically people were bootlegging test run versions of it and selling them off as if there were like the prototypes of the card.
I love it.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, this was
love this.
incredible. Like people engaged in heavy forms of counterfeiting because there were lots of counterfeit cards, and usually they ran towards like counterfeiting.
So weird.
Mickey Mantle cards, Hank Aaron cards, Willie
Honus
Mays
Wagner,
cards.
yeah.
There's a whole episode of MacGyver about it. Like there's this was like a thing people knew about.
Think about that for a second.
But
Yeah,
there's
Talk about
some
80s.
There's some low rent dude that's just like, man, I'm gonna bootleg a bunch of Billy Ripken fuckface cards, and I'm gonna buy me a vet and a boat. Yeah.
A vet boat.
A vet boat. Now,
Like on Miami Vice.
A
It's
cigarette car.
a cigarette car. Yeah, dude, I'm going to be able to get right off fucking Alligator Alley and into the swamp. That's what I want to do.
So they ended up, as Jeff said, putting just a black sensor box over the knob.
And
of
that's
that.
the most common one.
That is the most common one. It costs 10
Get
cents.
I mean, realistically,
It's the Girls Gone Wild commercial version.
at any store. I mean, they're priced at 10 cents, probably around $3. I'd say would be the average price if you found it in an actual baseball card.
Yeah.
Now, if you had the one that had the sticker that said "Too hot for TV,"
Well, the history behind it is what makes it so valuable,
Right,
which is
sure.
what's so fascinating. Like, it's one of the rare baseball cards that has a fucking story.
Yeah, and a
Right.
following.
Yeah.
Like this
Yeah.
is like the cult classic of like this is the ultimate cult classic.
The
when
Evil
it comes-
Dead of baseball.
It is
cards.
the
Yeah.
it's the room of baseball cards. Like this is like something.
Oh,
that-
fuckface.
Now the thing is, the question is, why is fuckface written on the back?
yeah.
Now,
So go back to the initial problem. What?
Yeah.
There are conflicting stories.
Yeah.
So what happened was early on, at the time, Baltimore Sun sports writer, baseball beat writer Tim Kirchin, who's also known as the guy that was on ESPN for years, being like, guys, the news coming out of just like that.
He
guy.
looks like an old timey composer started writing about sports.
Yeah, he's just
He's the best.
the thing is, Barry Bonds, like just a really weird kind
Yeah,
of.
he does. He look.
Like he just his weird exuberance was the thing, and he was like everywhere, especially during the kind of home run race that Sosa and McGuire had. Sosa and McGuire. So at first, Tim Kirchin asked about it, and Billy Ripken told Tim Kirchin that it was a consequence of being targeted by teammates who were bullying a relative rookie on the team. So he threw his teammates.
It's called hazing,
Yeah.
Bill.
Wow.
I know. So it was. He basically threw his teammates under the bus that somebody had, and basically, what comes out is the idea of the story is that somebody handed him a bat that, unbeknownst to him, said "fuckface" on it. Right.
Now, here's where this falls in. Here's where this falls through.
Yeah.
The odds on a 180-degree plane
Yes.
that he has
Yes.
to have this here. The odds of this being perfectly centered in the photo are so astronomically low.
But it's a standard baseball card pose. Like even if you like when I was in Little League,
Yeah.
and you would get like photos on Little League photo day.
Sure.
You would hold your bat much like that. That was
Sure.
the standard pose, and you'd get
And he
your
knew
little
that,
baseball
But
card.
no,
Yeah.
but what I think Jeff is saying is that the fact that fuckface
the position
Look
is
at how
yeah.
positioned it
It's
is.
clear.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know
it's,
you're
it's
holding
right
it
side up,
Yeah.
perfect,
And the
very legible.
And the story that it morphed into was that the person that actually wrote "fuckface" on the bat was his brother Cal.
Ooh,
That Cal Ripken had pranked his younger brother and gave him the fuckface bat. There was also an urban legend that Fleer themselves kind of put this into circulation.
Ric Flair himself.
That Ric Flair himself. That they wanted to drive up to jimmy up interest in their card brand.
So put it on a Billy Ripken.
Yeah, put it on Billy.
You get one good Ripken. Why don't you go fuck around?
But all these stories, especially that was an urban legend. That was a myth. The actual story came out.
I just realized that it was an inside job. Fuckface was an inside job.
Folks, we're talking about fuckface. Fuckface is an inside job. The globalists are out to get fuckface on all the bats.
You're gay, fuckface bats. The chemicals in the water.
I'm not saying that it's a conspiracy, but did you look? You know, I've written fuckface on many bats throughout Venezuela and also Mesoamerica.
The frogs are gay and fuckface is on the bat.
I'm not saying it's a conspiracy, but it's definitely a false fuckface flag.
So Darren Rovell actually had interviewed Billy Ripken, where Billy Ripken actually told the real story. This is from Darren Rovell's article that was published by CNBC.
This is like 2008, right?
Yeah, 2009. It was the 20th anniversary of Fuckface.
I was hoping you'd be like, this was June 27, 2009, right?
No, I for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what Billy Ripken said, quote, I got a dozen bats in front of my locker during the 1988 season. I pulled the bats out, model R161, and noticed because of the grain patterns, they were too heavy. But I decided to use one of them at the very least for my batting practice bat. Now I had to write something on the bat. At Memorial Stadium, the bat room was not too close to the clubhouse, so I wanted to write something that I could find immediately if I looked up and it was like 4:44 and I had to get out there quickly to get to batting practice. There were 5 grocery carts full of bats in there, and if I wrote my number 3, it would be too confusing. Which is interesting because on there he wears the number 7.
Number 7.
Which this was the only season in which he wore number 7.
False flag.
Which was his dad's number.
Jade Helm, number 7,
Tower 7.
folks.
It could get confusing. So I wrote fuck face on the bat.
You
So
know,
he could
because
figure
when
it
you
out
don't think of
quickly.
the number 3, the next thing you go to after 3
So
is
if I may sidebar here, my favorite thing about baseball, and I think it's not unique to sports in general, but baseball in particular is my favorite thing about it, is like the people who are considered baseball greats,
Yeah.
if not for baseball, would be just out there
fucking mechanics and
Yeah.
being mechanic. They're
But pranking people at the feed store or something.
yeah,
like that.
they would be blue collar rapscallions.
I'm pouring sugar into your workmate's forklift.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, exactly.
Like,
Just
yeah.
the funniest guys at the loading dock, basically.
Yeah, it's really funny too, because when you think about sort of like baseball culture, and you're right, these guys are these sort of legends, and you're like, oh, they're so great. But meanwhile, like our dads are obsessed with men playing a children's game.
Sure,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like the idea that baseball is some sort of transcendent sport,
Right,
where we
right.
expect these people to be flawless, and like you look
And
at
playing
us,
for the love of the game.
look at us
Yeah.
in our
Stuff.
20s and 30s,
Yeah.
and we're the biggest fuck faces of all.
Right.
And we would do so much worse. We're comedians,
yeah,
for
exactly,
Christ's sake.
Exactly.
You know, it's like, yeah, man, people are adults. And just because kids collect these doesn't mean a guy's not writing fuckface on his bat while he's getting paid $750,000 to swing a bat.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he's going to be a fucking weirdo.
Yeah,
he
yeah.
makes way too much money to fuck
And
around.
baseball prank culture is insane.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. I mean, if you go into any bullpen in the in on spring training, even it's like romper room.
Yeah, the reason he's smiling like this, he's got Tiger Balm on his nuts.
Yeah.
They put that on his jock right before he went out there.
I mean, like literally, my dad was bumming Jose Lima cigarettes during one game. You know, like, it was just these guys are just goofing around. You know?
They'd all have Trans Ams if they couldn't afford something better.
Sure. Sure.
So have you heard of it? Like the '86 Mets? Have you heard of these people?
Oh, yeah.
It was essentially Studio 54 on a private jet all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And Gary Carter reading the Bible.
Yeah.
Like that was.
And it's funny because they continue being ridiculous to this day.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's even
I mean,
worse.
I
now
mean, yeah,
because
with Keith
they're
Hernandez
coddled.
and Julius Salazar, like
Yeah.
that whole thing.
I mean,
yeah.
the other thing too is like professional athletes, especially among hockey and baseball,
Yeah.
are coddled from a very young age. Especially
Yeah.
hockey. Fucking hockey kids are the worst.
Yeah.
But like these expensive sports, football and soccer soccer and basketball are generally sports where equipment is often provided for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Baseball and hockey, you get your own fucking gear.
Yeah.
And so you have these little precious darlings that are treated in these insulated, you're the greatest situations.
that's interesting.
unless you were growing up in like Dominican Republic or you were
there's
playing
two.
with like
I'm talking white players.
oh yeah.
I'm not talking anybody, whose last name is Aguilar or some
Yeah, yeah.
shit like
Sure,
that. Or
sure.
We're talking these like white kids out of
30
Michigan.
guys named Justin.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's actually a culture that's been dividing. That's actually why Torrey Hunter has RBI, which is his charity called Reviving Baseball in Inner Cities, where he's trying to get more young black men to play baseball
yeah.
because they just can't afford it. So why would they care?
It's funny you mentioned that because I never even considered this, but it would be interesting to see the socioeconomic bracket of like a catcher because that's the most equipment you have to buy versus like every other position.
You see these catchers tend to be oftentimes these like giant corn-fed white boys with these massive legs, and then Pudge Rodriguez.
Yeah.
or a Molina brother.
Or an Alomar or something like that.
So
But what I was going to say is that the last thing I'll say, and this was what I was trying to get to with the sidebar, is that just the phrase "fuckface" speaks to the uniqueness of baseball players, like just the weird blue collar sort of nature.
It's what you call your boss when you're on break.
Yeah, exactly. I love that.
And I think maybe it was the fact that, he probably maybe even picked it up from his dad who played baseball and was around for baseball for decades, where that was like part of, I can imagine Cal Ripken Sr. pulling a, lucky strike.
Calling him fuckface.
Yeah, pulling the unfiltered lucky strike out from between his lips and be like, hey, fuckface.
Yeah, it was his dad's nickname for him.
He's like, this is fuckface's bat.
Yeah.
But it's hard for me. Because here's the thing.
Cal Ripken Jr., a.k.a. Dickface.
Yeah,
Here's the thing.
Dickface and fuckface.
After the season was over in early January, I got a call from our PR guy, Rick Vaughn. I don't know if it's
from Major
thing,
League.
Ricky Vaughn.
Mild thing.
Yeah.
Mild thing.
He said, Billy, we have a problem. And then he told me what was written on the bat, and I couldn't believe it. I went to the store and saw the card, and it all came back to me. We were in Fenway Park. I had just taken my first round of BP. I threw my bat onto the third base side and strolled around the bases when I was coming back. Right before I got up to hit again, I remember a guy tapping me on the shoulder and asking if he could take my picture. Never once did I think about it. I posed for the shot, and he took it.
Wait, real quick, did he round the bases during batting practice?
I guess, to run or something like
Sure.
that. Yeah.
Sure.
I mean,
Well, if there's a
when you hit
photographer-
207, I mean, come on.
You certainly want to work more on legging it out.
Yeah. When you're a contact hitter, I mean, it's important, and you're not granted with the speed of a Rock Raines or a Ricky Henderson
Wilson
or a young Jose Canseco who claimed that he could run a 3.940.
Yeah.
There is a possibility that his story is true.
Okay.
Yeah.
The probability of it is infinitesimally small.
Sure.
Now he finishes up, and this is the thing that I love. Fleer sent me some of the cards out of the goodness of their heart. I autographed them and used them as gifts for my groomsmen in my wedding, which took place in the off season. I figured at the time it was better than giving them a set of cufflinks, although I think I devalued the cards by signing them, though.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is 100% true.
Really?
Autographed baseball cards, unless you have like a certification of the actual autograph, tend to bring the value down from a pure collector's standpoint.
But if they were certified, they'd be worth more.
If you have, like, I know in comic books they have what's called the CGC signature series, which means you literally have a witness for a company that takes it from the signing to the grading immediately.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I'm guessing PSA does the same thing.
PSA does
where
it. But you can send like autographs to them for them to
but
authenticate.
it would be usually what they do is that would give a qualified. So they have what's called qualified, and then they have official approval.
Okay.
Meaning qualified is this is the condition and rating of the card, and there is writing on it that is from somebody who signed it with this name.
Okay, gotcha.
And then whereas an official. That's how it is in the comics. Anyway.
Yeah, I think with
give you the
baseball
right
cards, there's a
rating,
lot
it'll
of
just
like
be-
weird sort. Because I have I used to use baseball cards to get signatures back when I was a kid.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So I have football cards. So I have a bunch of like Joe Montana autograph things.
Oh,
So you'd
that's
be
rad.
signing at a Lucky or something like that, a Lucky grocery store or something. But the interesting thing is that within that time period, the Billy Ripken fuckface card was not the only card with profanity written on the knob of the bat.
Whoa, what? Twist.
In 1990, the B-grade baseball card company Pacific.
Ooh, Pacific.
Yeah, these were like the bootleg kind of cards. The ones that like
The Outlaws.
Some years
The
they
Bad
actually,
Boys, the
Some years they
baseball
actually
cards.
couldn't actually put the baseball team's logos on because of licensing issues.
This was like an Eastbound and Down where Kenny Powers plays for Atlanta.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
They produced a set of cards for the short-lived Senior League, where there were a number of retired baseball players.
that's-
We're Cal Ripken Sr.
Yeah, that's where Badass Billy Gunn was weightlifting.
Yeah, so there was in the Senior League, they had all these players that were, your Vita Blues, your Ferguson Jenkins, your, a lot of players actually.
Old Ernie Banks or something like
Well,
that.
it was like a thing where there was like it was beer league, but there was actually a little bit more to it.
Vita Blue, by the way, a Fish side project.
That's
It's the name of Paige McConnell's side band.
There
absolutely
you go.
disgusting. Why would they do that to Vita Blue? Jim Nettles,
We'll play it at the end.
baseball journeyman Jim Nettles, who had retired, had grabbed a bat to pose for his baseball card.
And it said Dick
and
Nose.
on the bat's knob, it said asshole.
Fuck. Okay. See, that almost is more of like what I'd expect.
Because according to Jim Nettles in an interview, he said that it was a teammate's bat and somebody had actually written asshole on the knob because everybody on the team hated this guy. And he just grabbed a
in the
bat.
Senior League.
Yeah. And he was.
And that man is the same man who's on the grassy knoll.
Johnny Bench.
Johnny Bench.
And
Johnny
Nettles
Bench killed JFK.
now for Nettles is come on, it would had to have been Pete Rose,
It's the head first sliding.
He had gambling debts. He Charlie hustled his way off of the knoll.
So and to Nettles' credit, he says he's not happy about it, and when anybody presents him a copy of that card to sign, he always signs over the bat knob because he doesn't want to be associated with that sort of thing.
Oh, what an asshole.
Yeah, what a dick.
No,
What a fuckface.
Hey, what a fuck
he didn't,
face.
he didn't want kids to see it. It was kind of that puritanical.
You
sort
should
of
have thought about that before you were playing Senior League baseball, Nettles.
thing. So
Kids aren't watching Senior League baseball.
Yeah.
no, we'll get in the cards or something like that. I don't know. But
Imagine if your fucking dad went out, or your mom, one of your parents went out to get you some baseball cards in 1990. You wanted to pull that Frank Thomas or some Upper Decks or some shit, and your mom comes home with a few packs of Pacific Senior League baseball cards
my mom did that once.
to pull a Nettles.
Yeah. I mean, the in that version, the corrected version of the Jim Nettles one is actually the expensive one. not
What
the error.
does Samuel Beckett call that card?
Samuel Beckett does not rate the
Pacific doesn't make it into the.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So
What do they
here's-
think they are? Pro set?
Yeah. Pro set and those great Gulf War cards that they made. I pulled a rookie shorts cough.
I got a Storm and Norman.
So the thing is that the fuckface card amongst people that collected baseball cards of a certain generation, that's like kind of the secret handshake. That's like the reference that you can kind of share.
It's why I have the shirt.
exactly.
Because if somebody sees this shirt,
Yeah.
and like points at me,
Right.
they know.
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
know they know, and it's like this weird fraternity, this weird
Sure.
sort of brotherhood that you get, or
and they-
sisterhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it
Absolutely.
created, and there was a good deal of resonance to it. So in 1997, Mother's Cookies produced.
I like how this is going.
Mother's Cookies produced baseball cards that
course they
came in the boxes of Mother's Cookies. So they were kind of like like
says
a little
crumb
Debbie,
face?
yeah, a little Debbie situation. In 1997, Billy Ripken, who was at the twilight of his career playing for the Texas Rangers, had a card where he was holding his bat where the knob was prominent and it said "Rip." So he is not. That is not the only subliminal message on a Billy Ripken card.
That's to his
Wow.
career.
yeah.
Yeah.
But in
No, it's, by the way, I love Billy Ripken.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
That was just.
and
I want him to listen to this
Hey,
episode.
I mean, here's the thing.
In 1997, by the way, with the Texas Rangers, that's like that's really like a fork in the road for America, because that's right around the time George W. Bush should have just become the manager of the Rangers and saved us a lot of fucking trouble.
So
Sends them to war.
Yeah, there we go. Billy Ripken, let's go, boys! Baghdad, here we come!
Billy Ripken in a new set of Gulfs, fucking Gulf War cards.
Just
And
him-
he's got fuck face on his medals.
It's him spray painting fuckface on Saddam's statue.
So RAR Brewing out of Maryland in 2016 produced a Berliner Weiss called Puck Face.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it has a
Fuck yeah.
with
Fuck yeah.
because of its citrusly undertones. It has a photograph of a baseball player with a lemon for a head and a little scribble on the bat. It does not say fuck face on it.
Does
but
it say
is called-
puck face on
But
it?
there's puck face prominently on the can.
okay, gotcha.
If they
just-
didn't write puck face on the bat, though, that graphic designer can go puck himself.
There we go.
it currently has a 3.8 out of 5 on Beer Advocate. Stephen J. Moore rates it very pale, slightly hazy, peach-colored body with a thick, foamy, bone-white head. Aroma is sweet, earthy, wheat, and hints of lemon. Flavor is weedy up front, and
I'm
then the
learning a
tartness
l-
kicks in and lingers to the finish. Lemon comes through in the middle and to the end as well. Feel is light-bodied,
here's
prickly
where-
carbonation.
here's where
lingering
your
tartness,
research-
a nice, refreshing beer that works well.
Here is where your research might need to tone down a little.
No, what is that man's name?
Stephen J. Moore.
Stephen
on
J. Moore
Beer Advocates.
Needs to be on the FBI list. They just need to be taking a look at him. He's not right in the head.
He might not be doing stuff, but
He's not
got
right
it.
in the bone white head.
Yeah. Bone white head. Beer nerds. And
Imagine that being your personality, by the way.
Oh yeah.
And,
yeah.
liking of drink. Stupid.
enjoying things.
Like your whole thing is like beers, and it's like that's it, really?
Yeah. In the late 2000s, 2010s, the Hagerstown Suns, a minor league affiliate of the Washington Nationals that Billy Ripken played for from 1984 to 1985, held a promotion where the first 1,000 people got a Billy Ripken fuckface bobblehead,
Oh my fucking god!
which had instead of
What's the street value of that?
on the offending bat knob, it's actually a smiley face on there, but it is heavily insinuated that it is the fuckface bobblehead.
I mean, I guess they put a face on there.
Yeah, which could be, what that is.
That's a face you make when you fuck.
Billy Ripken played 12 years in the majors, 4 different teams. He was a journeyman bench player. His best season was 1990, so a year after the fuckface card came out. Got that fuckface card bump.
You get that fuck face card?
It's the opposite of the Madden curse, the fuckface bump. He played 129 games and hit 291 and led the league in
Oh,
sacrifice
damn.
hits. So really good, solid.
That's a guy putting himself
7-8
out there for
hitter
the
sort of
team,
thing.
yeah.
Closed out strong.
Career 247 hitter with a 5.9 WAR compared to his brother's 100 win above replacement. But hey,
Do you know what WAR is? What win above replacement means? It means that you are the what you provide compared to all other people at your position.
Yeah, sure.
So where Cal Ripken as a shortstop was a super dominant.
Yeah, so
Shortstop
over his career, he
versus all the
provided
people.
100 wins over the replacement average player.
Yeah.
But he made close to $3.25 million during his playing career. He's working as a broadcaster, and he claims that he is still asked about this card once a week.
Yeah, I bet.
Once a week is not enough.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Everyone, if you see Billy Ripken on the street,
harass him.
just yell fuckface at him.
Yeah.
We need the-
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Imagine yelling fuckface at a former professional athlete and see how long it takes for you to get your jaw wired shut.
Hey, nobody's yelling fuckface to Steve Balboni.
Imagine because people hate Jose Canseco for a number of reasons.
Yeah.
And the Juiced book shouldn't be one of them.
Least among them, the surreal life.
For sure. Also, he beat his wife savagely.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
That being said, could you imagine trying to threaten Jose Canseco and have that man tear a hole through you so quickly?
Although I have seen him in Japanese Pride mixed martial arts getting his ass handed to him by Hongman Choi.
Okay, well, if
As
you're
he's getting-
Hongman Choi,
as
call him
he's-
a fuckface all you want.
It's so funny because Hongman Choi is a 7-foot, legitimately a 7-foot South Korean kickboxer who's wearing. He's wearing
What a bitch.
no, but here's the thing that's hilarious about it. Hongman Choi is wearing like he's wearing like boxing shorts, like typical boxing. Jose Canseco's out there in black sweatpants.
That's fine. That's fine. Here's the thing: people think that professional athletes are not what they are. Like they are people that are at and usually tend to maintain a pretty consistent level of physical perfection.
Oh yeah, no, I mean Jose Canseco looks, he looks not as good as his peak, but as good as his peak, he was just having a full diet of
not a 24
anabolic steroids.
Yeah, he's not a 24-year-old Cuban piece of steak.
Yeah,
the way he used to
was
be,
being stalked by Madonna. It's did he make it in the sex book?
Yeah,
because Vanilla Ice was in the sex book. And Big
Boy,
Daddy Kane.
Boy, is that book just a yearbook of bad decisions.
Yeah, it's the Hollywood who's who.
There's her going down on fucking Billy Ripken holding the fuckface bat.
And he's still making that face.
Making the fucking face, holding the bat. I'd carry that bat everywhere I go. Man. Are you kidding me? I would do baseball card signings, and I would be like, I'll sign any card, and it'll be twice as much if you want me to sign the fuckface card.
Yeah, no, I would sign photographs at just right, And he is open to doing some references to the fuckface card and autograph signings. Now,
thanks fuckface.
The sources that I pulled from, because I want to give proper due. There was an article on the website Slacky Brown.
That's like basically the New York Times.
No, it was actually a very kind of good, solid article into the history of it. Darren Ravel's article on CNBC. And then the big one is a website by a guy named John Pedersen, BillRipken.com.
Yeah.
A GeoCities-style tribute to this card.
Hell yeah.
Anytime
And
something
John
hits
Pedersen,
GeoCities.
and with animated GIFs galore.
Oh, dude, web version 1, baby.
Frames.
Can't beat it.
Oh, yeah.
Frames? Hell yeah.
It's like Angel Fire.
Yeah. Tripod.
.cjb.net.
Xpage.com.
John Pedersen, one of the
brick wall background with yellow font that no one can
under
read.
construction. A bitty version of Rebel Yell playing in the background.
And just a rotating Billy Ripken card.
Hell yeah, dude.
I mean, for that card, you got to go with the MIDI White Snake, though. But John Pedersen, one of the foremost collectors of the Billy Ripken fuckface card. He owns literally dozens and every version of the Billy Ripken fuckface card that you could possibly find, and that's why the whiteout version is questionable, because it hasn't yet been authenticated by John Pedersen himself, who actually wrote an article in a 2009 issue of Beckett magazine, "Confessions of an F-Face Collector." There was also a website.
All my exes can be considered that too.
Also, the Four Keeps podcast. David Peterkovsky's Four Keeps podcast actually did a episode about the fuckface card as well. Check that out. Also, this is something that's very important if you want to collect fuckface cards.
And I do.
Listen, goods from the Wood Studiverse. If you're looking to collect, if you want fuckface cards,
put in code GOODS for 15% off of your fuckface card purchases.
An ungraded version of the fuckface card in near mint to mint condition is $5.
Is valued at $5.
Is valued at $5.
Try finding one for $5 is the problem.
Someone was actually trying to sell a gem mint copy on eBay. Most of them run around $500 in range. Somebody was selling one for $5,000.
I was gonna say, I know that one is going for $5,000. The one in the Gem Mint 10, because I looked up to it. I looked it up.
Yeah.
But there's also a regular one that's on eBay for $150.
Yeah, but according to PSA, which is the foremost independent grading association for baseball cards and other collectibles, a Gem Mint one goes for $70. They value it at $70. A whiteout version is in Gem Mint 10 is $800. There's also on eBay parody versions of the fuckface card, which are amazing. They feature such people as Ken Griffey Jr. and Michael Jordan holding a fuckface bat. those are going for $3.45.
I will take them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that the Michael Jordan upper deck?
He's in batting practice
the upper deck
in
traded,
the Chicago White Sox. It's not that card, but it's like got the Fleer mock-up and just a random photo of him, but he's holding a bat, and on the bat it says fuckface.
Oh, it's a custom job.
Yeah, it's a custom job.
Wow.
So,
I like that.
yeah, that's the fuckface card, guys. An entire hour and 20 minutes or so on Billy Ripken's Fleer 616 fuckface card. Happy collecting, everybody.
Oh my God.
It's the nudge nudge wink wink of people of our sort of generation. It's how Pat and I would have that, and you would be like, I don't get it.
Right.
You know, that sort of like, this is our aspect of the fraternity.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like the secret handshake in a way.
Where if I had like an Andre footprint shirt,
Sure.
you'd get that.
Right. Yeah.
Because there's like me and Jeff and a former guest of the show, Luke Cunningham. Like me and Luke Cunningham one time had a long discussion in front of the West Side Comedy Theater open mic about the fuckface card.
About fuckface.
Yeah.
Wow.
It brings people together.
And all the
that
fuck
know.
faces at the open mic.
And you two are now part of the secret society of that. So
Of face fucker.
Yeah.
A song for you. Who'd care to cash in on a dream or two? I hope you do. Go hit your stride and ride like Vita Blue. But the magical experience won't last nearly that long. Time passes by. You can hang on, but the harder you try, the less you enjoy. Hold on tight.
That Mickey Mantle card that I pulled out of that pack, I sold that for rent when I was in college.
Oh shit. Okay.
And I had to remind myself that you cannot live in a baseball card.
Yeah.
And that's, but there is because the last thing I want to talk about very, very quickly about sort of baseball cards, the markets and everything like that, is a reminder of the collector's fallacy. And the collector's fallacy is a phenomenon that as collectors, you develop a mania for what you're collecting with the idea that you'll never do this, but you'll say, well, I'm going to sell it someday and it'll be worth a lot. I'm going to sell it someday. And it's an addiction. It's the I'm going to quit.
Yeah.
And so what happens
and you
is,
wait for the time in which it returns back to the previous value.
and you don't you don't sell it someday, and then you die, and then your kids are sidled with it, and then they dump it at a Goodwill.
Right.
Like that's really what it honestly comes down to, is like the collector's fallacy. And baseball cards is a really great example of how people now have invested so much money and they have just storage units. I worked at a comic shop. People would try to sell us 93, 94 Fleer sets, and we're like, they're worthless, dude. They're not worth the space that they would take up.
Yeah.
And that's hard to explain to people.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So don't get too attached to baseball cards, comic books, things like that.
Well, I was going to say, you're looking at about 500 records over there, so I have my own problem.
Yeah, that however is a use.
Yeah, I
there's
suppose.
a use,
you know,
and then
you know.
also there's a value to records.
You like,
But also there is the aspect of they are huge and they are very heavy.
They're cumbersome, yeah.
They're the most cumbersome collection.
when I moved to Los Angeles, I moved 11 long boxes of comic books with me.
Jesus.
Thousands of comics.
Yeah.
Very weighted, very fragile and valuable. And why?
Right. Well, I mean, it's same with the records. I mean, I had to pare down.
I need to Marie Kondo my comic collection.
This is the pared down version of my record collection, because I worked at a radio station that we moved to a new studio, and there was not shelving for the records.
So you just got to take whatever you wanted.
Auburn University was like, hey, open season, grab whatever records you want. And these have been amassing at WEGL since the 1970s. And so I just grabbed everything that looked interesting and then proceeded over the next 5 years to listen to exactly none of it. So when I moved to Los Angeles and was able to get the records out here, I was getting rid of, like, the Riverboat Queen Calliope music, and it was just like a fucking like, I got rid of that kind of weird shit. So even though I'm not a baseball card person, I definitely relate to the whole
I always find myself with records, I'm always just like, oh, I have all these records. I guess I'll listen to Supertramp again.
Right.
It's always like I always have like 8 records that I'm all like, oh, Eagles' greatest hits again. I don't give a goddamn. I fucking love the Eagles' greatest hits, and I don't care how awful and evil
At first, I was
those
going to make some
people are.
snide comment about Supertramp, and then you just one-upped it.
You make a snide comment about Supertramp. Breakfast in America is an amazing album.
Look, when I was young, life was so wonderful. It's a miracle. Yeah, no, that's the way. I heard that in the gas station yesterday. And I was like, okay. No,
I know it is the song that pisses my dad off the most on classic rock's radio.
There are times. That's a great fucking song. I don't give a goddamn what anybody says.
All right, well, anyway.
You get the Supertramp rookie card.
Yeah. Jeff, where can people find you on the internet?
Oh, I have, as of the time this goes up, I will probably have 3 regular podcasts.
I was gonna say you're a man with too many damn projects.
I am an official podcaster. You can find me on Sympathetic Monsters with my ex-girlfriend Raquel Jason.
Okay.
We started a podcast as exes.
See, that's the way to start.
It's the most insane thing because
Yeah.
we try to stay on track, but we're also chronicling the insanity of choosing. Nobody does this.
Yeah,
Like,
sure.
we don't do this.
Sure.
And so we did. It's called Sympathetic Monsters. It's available at that'sgoodpod.com.
Yes.
I also co-host a show called Tom and Jeff Watch Batman with Tom Ryman, formerly of Crack.com.
And what do you guys do on that podcast?
Can you guess? we are chronicling our adventures of watching everything Batman and just commenting on it through the eyes of a 30-something-year-old comedian in 2019 watching Batman the Animated Series.
Sure.
And being like, here's why this is super fucked up.
Are you guys doing the Adam West stuff too?
We did the movie, the Batman 66 movie,
good.
and we're gonna get to the Batman 66 series. So we're gonna get through everything.
Yeah.
We'll get there. We did the Nolan verse. We did 2 months of the Nolan verse.
Okay.
And it was utterly insane and hilarious. And that's at Gamefully Unemployed.
Okay.
Their Patreon. And then finally, I get to announce. I get to say this.
Good. Breaking news.
I have an official podcast now through Sideshow Collectibles. That's going to be called Sideshow's Sideshow with Jeff May.
That's so cool.
It is utterly insane that I got this. I'm super stoked to be doing that, and I will be shoplifting from them consistently every time I'm there.
Yeah.
They camera the place up, but I'll find some dark spots in the cameras. and get my
Fuck
shit.
yeah. Yeah. Try to get them. Listen, you've got pull with them. They make statues and collectibles.
Gonna get a Billy Ripken fuckface.
Get a fuckface
Hot
statue.
toys,
yeah. Get that going.
And you can catch Mint on Card the second Friday of every month at Blast from the Past on Magnolia in Burbank, and that's my live show that I very much adore.
Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, I've done that show before. It's very, very
great.
fun. It's in a toy store, so you get to kind of wander around before and after the show, just sort of reminiscing. I found many like toys that I used to own in there.
It's pretty distracting. It's great. I love it.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you.
Once again, this episode brought to you by the Mystic Order of East Alabama fiction writers. Check out their book, The Mastering the Art of Winch Cooking, on Amazon. And if you write us the funniest iTunes review in the next couple of weeks, we're going to send you a t-shirt. We're going to send you the book. So do all that. Pat, what should they do when they get to iTunes? Even though I just said it.
Yeah, rate, review, and subscribe. Tell a friend, shows the attitude of gratitude.
And if you don't have the attitude of gratitude,
You're a fuckface!
Song of the week this week comes from our friend in DC, Tyler Plazio. He's got a brand new EP coming out on March 15th. That's the Ides of March. But right now, this is the world premiere of his new single. It's called Everybody Loves You When You're Dead. And we'll see you next week.
You always sold me out. None of your friends would ever check up on you. I always told you I'd never not call you when you really needed me. I guess I lied. I guess I never really meant it. Should've come over when you were down, but I just let you drown. Everybody loves you when you're dead, 'cause when you're alive, you're a waste of time. Everybody loves you when you're dead, 'cause I just fucking miss you, and it's my fault. so beautiful. I wish I would have just said I love you, but as per usual, everybody loves you when you're dead. 'Cause when you're alive, you're a waste of time. Everybody loves you when you're dead. 'Cause I just fucking miss you, and it's my fault. Even though you're long gone, I hope you know that I was wrong. I never should have left you alone. I wish I would have let you know I'm sorry that I let you go. Everybody loves you when you're dead. 'Cause when you're alive, you're a waste of time. Everybody loves you when you're dead. 'Cause I just fucking miss you, and it's my fault.
The Goods from the Woods was mixed, edited, and distributed by me, Rivers Langley. You can find the show on Twitter at The Goods Pod. Our theme song was composed by DJ Smiles. Check him out on Twitter at DJ Smiles.
This was a Brain Freeze podcast.